Welcome to Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding podcast, where the power of words becomes a bridge between worlds. In this podcast, we embark on a dynamic exploration of the human experience, weaving a tapestry of diverse voices, stories, and perspectives. I am your host, Lavinia Richards. Join us on a journey that transcends boundaries, fostering connection, empathy, and a deeper understanding of the rich mosaic that defines us all. Get ready to reflect, resonate, and embark on a transformative odyssey through the art of conversation. What's up? What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining in. I am your host, Lavinia Richards, and I want to welcome you on today. Listen, we are talking about a powerful topic today. We're going to be talking about quality education, right, in urban area or communities, right? And I have none other than this powerhouse that is very well spoken and qualified to speak on this subject, Mr. Jeremiah Lockett, who is the owner and founder of Harriet Tubman School of Excellence. Mr. Lockett, come on up for me. Come on up. How are you this evening?
Hey, good evening, Lavinia. I'm doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing well as well. It is a pleasure to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute, so it's really good to see you. It's good to see you.
Likewise. Yes,
Absolutely.
likewise.
Listen, so I don't want to hold anything up. What I do want you to do is go ahead and let our listeners know and our viewers who a little bit about Jeremiah Lockett.
All righty. Let me see where can I begin? I think quite often when I do tell my story, I often try to shortchange it for the sake of being humble. But I think in this context, it's important that I tell the whole story because it ties into the work that I'm doing currently. And I will start off saying that my work experience was in the field of financial services. You know, I was an investment sales rep, sold annuities, life insurance, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. I was an advisor, did this for quite a while. And then I switched over to banking. And, interestingly, I worked up through Y2K. And if you remember the Y2K scare,
Absolutely.
is when, banks were afraid that at the turn of the year 2000, all the money in the banks will vanish. And so I was fortunate, and I say fortunate because at the time I was a branch manager and I worked at the branch the day before the year 2000. And so I just remember receiving all this cash from the main branch for fear that people would start doing these withdrawals the day before. But that didn't happen. And of course, we're still able to bank as a result of that. And then after that, after chasing money, in that type of sector, and I just got tired of, being money driven. And I decided to make a shift into more of a community driven, community focused career. And then I got into nonprofit work. And from there, I started by leading a youth initiative like Project Shout was one of the first programs I led. Shout is an acronym for Students Helping Others Understand Tobacco that was being offered by the Indiana Black Expo years ago when the tobacco companies were being sued for marketing to youth for the purposes of securing or trying to get new consumers for their product. And I did an entrepreneurship program related to youth. At that point, I became an executive director for a nonprofit, fundraising manager. I cut my teeth in that sector for a very long time. Started to do some consulting. And I think you and I served on the board together. That's how we met years ago.
Absolutely.
Doing some amazing work with young ladies. And then from there, I decided, I said, you know what? My work in this sector, I think, has reached its plateau. And I wanted to do I want to do something that impact the youth in a profound way. I've always been a mentor, and I always supported youth-focused programs. But even then, I felt there was something missing, because when I would go home or finish that mentoring relationship, then that was it. And I wanted to do something that was more profound. So I became an educator. So if I show you, if you look at the trend of my journey, started in for-profit work, did that for several years,
Mhm.
shifted over to nonprofit work, did that for several years. Then I shifted over to becoming an educator back in 2011.
Right.
And my entry point as an educator was at the what's what I'm looking for, entry level.
Mhm.
I was an instructional assistant, teacher's aide. That was my entry point into education.
Okay.
And what I can tell you is that that was probably the most remarkable decision I made as it relates to, number one, feeling fulfilled internally. Like I knew
Oh,
this is where I was supposed to be in education. And
yeah.
even though I was an IA, or instructional assistant, I served the duties of an IA to fidelity. I did
Mhm.
the best of my ability. I gave my students 100% of me. And as a result, relationships were formed, students, blossomed, learning took place. And I realized this was my calling all along.
Mhm.
And from there, from an IA, I became a math teacher. And I did that for several years. And I want to stress several, because oftentimes we have educators who may spend a year or two in the classroom and then want to become an administrator. Well, oftentimes I frown against that, because you got to be battle tested. There's some things that you have to just kind of experience as a teacher before becoming an administrator is even considered. But I was a teacher for several years,
Right.
teaching middle school math. Started in Pike Township, then made my way over to one of the Tinley schools, Tinley Preparatory Academy, which is an all-male school. And then from there, I became an administrator.
Mhm.
Worked with a colleague of mine, and we opened up a middle school. I was the founding assistant principal. And then in that role, of course, you find out that that's the hot seat
Mhm.
as an administrator, because you are responsible for everything.
Right.
Parent communication, student academic achievement, coaching teachers, school culture, student discipline, after school activities. I mean, and just teacher support. Like all of that is encompassed in that administrative role. And that's really where I've got my experience on what it takes to become an effective school leader. Now, to take all that, so over that 30 to 40 year work experience,
Yeah.
started off in for-profit, shifted over to nonprofit work,
Mhm.
becoming an educator. I took all of that experience and poured it into my I don't want to use the word project, but my new endeavor, Harriet
Okay.
Tubman School of Excellence.
Mhm.
So I leveraged everything that I've learned over the last 30 to 40 years and poured it into this project here.
It's amazing. Yeah. I think that's powerful. And I'll get to the questions in a minute, but I wanted to kind of piggyback off what you said, because when you said that you knew that you had found where you were supposed to be, and I think that's important, especially dealing with youth.
Yes.
Because if you're not willing to have that heart and passion to pour into them, then you're doing them a disservice. Would you agree?
Oh, 1000%. And,
Yeah.
even in my role as head of school and leading my own school, when I'm looking for staff, when I'm looking for organizations to partner with to provide programs for our young people, the first thing I look for is, where is that individual's heart?
Mhm.
Because I'm the gatekeeper.
That's
You
right.
got to get through me to get to my scholars, my babies.
That's
And if
right.
your heart is not in the right place, I just can't allow you access to our children.
I love that. I
Yes.
love that. That's why I refer people there all the time. So yeah. So let's go ahead and get to it. The first question I want to ask you is, what inspired you to start a private school in an urban area? And
Hmm.
what unique challenges did you encounter in doing so?
Yeah. And so I decided to go private for a couple of reasons. Number one, we are a faith-based private school. And
Okay.
I know that being in a public area or in a charter area, the concept of um, God is oftentimes challenged. Okay. And so being a person who grew up in church and, my roots are in church. And I also feel that it's very important that we have some concept of God and the divine authority that God offers in our lives, and being able
Mm.
to have the freedom and flexibility to pray when we feel it's necessary, to minister when we feel it's necessary, to talk about God without any consequence
Hmm.
whenever we feel it's necessary, which is really the main reason why I decided to go private. And though we're not into converting, let me make that clear. We're not converting, we're not proselytizing,
Right.
but we do know it is important that we pray when it's necessary. We open every morning with prayer, and our young people support that. And oftentimes they compete for prayer time. As soon as they get off the bus, can I pray today? You
Oh,
know,
awesome.
yeah. And so that adds to the culture of in the school setting where students feel safe. The whole concept of bullying and intimidation and all that, we don't deal with those things. And I do believe being a faith-based school helps add to that, because
Hmm.
there's a certain level of behavioral accountability that we have to each other as it relates to understanding that we're all part of God's creation, no matter
Right.
how different we may look or sound.
Absolutely.
The other reason why I decided to go private is because I didn't want to get involved with politics. And public schools and charter schools are extensions of the government. And I just sometimes as we see in the news, as we see in
Yes.
media, there is a huge political back and forth going on in our school system. And I just didn't want to be victim to that, because it interferes with doing what we're designed to do. And that is
Hmm.
to educate children. Politics aside,
Well,
educate
yeah.
children. Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. the urban
So,
I'm say the urban setting was
yeah.
strategic. Part of our mission, we have a three-pronged vision statement, and we wanted to start in what we call an educational desert. An educational desert is a neighborhood where there is no school, or the school that is available is a low performing school.
Hmm.
And so we are strategically positioned in the area that we are now, to offer to our families an alternative option to receiving a good education.
That's powerful and so needed. Um, a lot of people don't know, that you're here in Indianapolis, and that's the area. And I remember I'm not from here, but when I moved here from Gary, Indiana, it wasn't the most pleasant area to be in. At the time, I think there was a grocery store still over there. I can't remember the name right now, but it was a larger grocery store that everybody went to. And then they stripped that grocery store and it became a food desert as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so just seeing the work that you're doing, I think is very, very powerful. So I commend you on that. So thank you. Because it's definitely needed in the desert.
Yeah,
Definitely, right?
that's all. Yes.
So the other question I want to ask you is, how do you ensure that your private school is inclusive and accessible to all students, regardless of their socioeconomic background?
Mm-hmm. The so we are a private school, and one of the first questions I get from prospective parents is how much, right? Because when you hear private school, you think big dollars. And our school model has been designed to the point where tuition is almost not a factor. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Number one, we are an accredited school by the state of Indiana. And because we are accredited, we participate in the Choice Scholarship Program. And that Choice Scholarship Program helps cover anywhere between 67 to 70% of our tuition. So consider 70% of your tuition covered by the Choice Scholarship Program. And 9 times out of 10, a family qualifies to be a recipient of that scholarship. There's very small stipulations that will prevent a family to not participate. They've expanded that option so that more families can participate in the Choice Scholarship Program. So I just want to make that clear. And then the second thing is, all we, as of this year, now next year may be different, but at least this year, all we ask is out of our tuition is that parents pay only $50 a month per scholar.
Oh,
And so
wow.
when you talk about making sure that we are available, we make ourselves accessible to
Mhm.
families that may be on some sort of limited income, possibly no income. You know, we have programs and financial aid and solutions for every family situation. We have an Adopt a Scholar program. Some of our families attend the school free of charge because of the
Oh,
Choice
wow.
Scholarship, the Adopt a Scholar program, and other things we put in place for those families who really need it. But for the most part, we just ask that parents pay $50 a month.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. That is awesome because I mean to have good quality education is such well, even for free, but even at such a low rate at $50,
Yes,
to know that your child is in a safe environment, an environment that they're going to get that education, but yet that attention and be seen.
that's right. You said
Yeah,
you get all three: safe. There's one thing I have zero tolerance for is a chaotic environment. I just can't do it, and my
absolutely.
scholars know that they know I don't like drama. I don't like chaos. Everything has to be done in decency and order, and my scholars appreciate the fact that when they come here every morning, that they know that their feelings are going to be protected, their physical being is going to be protected, their emotions are going to be protected because this is a safe environment for learning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. I love that. I love that. Um, the next question I have, Jeremiah, is what innovative teaching methods or curriculum approaches have you implemented to address the specific needs of urban students?
Hmm. Well, I think oftentimes schools talk about the innovative approach to teaching, and uh, oftentimes I kind of shy away from that because I think we can get too innovative, we can get too gimmicky, and kids aren't learning anything because we're trying to be too marketable. So we're old school. There is no innovation to teaching. We're old school, but we do engage, right? We do have engaging lessons. We do support children in their stretch for learning. We do require that students do most of the learning, what we call the cognitive lift as a teacher, right? It's not just to sit and get. In other words, teachers do all the talking and all students do is listen. We don't do that. Students do most of the work. You can come in any classroom and you will see scholars, doing the work. Very little teacher talk, a lot more cognitive processing and challenge thinking from our young people. Now, what I can say is that our curriculum, I feel, is pretty rigorous. We teach at a very high level. Our goal is, by the time our young people finish with us, which is 8th grade, we want all of our scholars to be in the position to, when they go to high school, to participate in AP courses or advanced courses,
Yeah.
right? So we pour a lot into making sure that they can read well. Like our middle school has just read 2 books, like simultaneously. Like we did a book during school and they had a book to read at home. And
Okay.
so
Yeah.
so that's 2 books at the same time. And they're writing. And so writing is important. Reading with reading comprehension is extremely important. Now here's the key. Just because when you hear a young person read, they're just making sound. The reading comes in when they're able to comprehend and understand what they're saying. Sounding out words in a complete sentence is not the same thing as understanding what you just read and being
Absolutely.
able to articulate what the author's trying to convey. That's reading.
Absolutely.
Trying to internalize what you just read and then make connections to the real world based on what you read. That's reading. And that's what we
Absolutely.
strive to do here is to help deepen reading comprehension so that young people understand what the author is trying to convey, but also make connections with their life and how does it apply to the real world setting. And of course, math, being coming from a math background, that goes without saying that we teach at a high level mathematically. And then we offer science, social studies, we offer all the traditional classes for our curriculum, but we really strive the reading, the writing, the math, and the critical thinking in every class.
I love that. I like this scholar interaction. I love that. Again, children being seen, heard, having a voice, developing those cognitive skills, right? Being able to go out into the world, holding conversations
That's
with
right.
understanding when they're talking to people, and not being rushed if they get into a contract or something so quick to sign, because now they understand the importance of reading, right? And
That's right.
understanding.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love it. Um, I want you to share a success story or achievement from your private school that highlights its impact on the local community.
Well, uh, part of our mission statement is three-tiered, our mission statement. But one of the aspects of our mission statement, I'm going to share too, is that we engage in community service. Civic engagement is very important. That's important to me, coming from my nonprofit background, but also feel that young people should learn the importance of giving back to the community from which they came from.
Mm,
Because as they uh, grow older and become successful in life, because we are affirming their success now. They hear that from us all the time.
right.
We affirm their future success now. So as they get older and become successful, no matter what career they decide to pursue, it's important that we plant in them the requirement. It's a requirement because I'm giving back to my community by offering the school. It should be a requirement that you give back to the community from which you come from.
Hmm.
And so we do service projects every year. And one of our service projects happens to be with the East 38th Street Library. They
Okay.
have a food pantry. And the first year we offered, the first year we did it, I had a conversation with the library manager, and
Hmm.
she had shared with me how they're low on food, but they get so many people to come in and look for something to eat, and often their pantry is very, very bare. And so I went back to our scholars, and for the first year, we ended up raising over 1,300 food items.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so that is one of our annual traditions that every year in the fall we
Yeah.
do a food drive to give to the East 30th Street Library, and our
Yeah.
young people get behind that. A lot of our service projects are student led. I started, but then they take over and lead it. So they're the ones who
Hmm.
collect the food. They have a tracker. They keep count. They make a report. And then when it came time for us to deliver it, they did all the work, took all the food in, and just once again, our young people felt so proud about their accomplishment and felt good about themselves and helped build their self-esteem, but also reinforcing the need to give back to the community from which we come from.
That is amazing. And then not only that, what you're teaching them. Um, yes, to give back to the community, but now we're conducting business.
That's right.
We got to inventory what's going out, what's coming in. We
That's
need
right.
some more of this. We need some more of that. Now we're doing record keeping,
That's
right?
right.
Scales and
Yep.
balances, right? And
Yep.
so it's so much bigger than just the community. You're teaching them in so many facets that they're able to go back again into the community, into the real world, and leverage everything that you've taught them, and have a better knowledge and understanding. I love what you're doing.
That's right.
I want to commend you on that. I love that. Now, the other question I want to ask you is, how do you navigate the balance between autonomy as a private school and accountability to the broader education system?
hmm And I shared earlier that we are accredited by the state of Indiana. So there are some things, there are some legalities, some expectations, um, some things that we just have to do to be considered a private school that participates in the Choice Scholarship Program. And we do get visits and audits to ensure that we have the necessary documentation in place and the necessary procedures in place to ensure that our children are safe. The building that we're using, it's for children. And so just from an organizational standpoint, we are held accountable to a higher authority. But then secondly, equally important, is that we are held accountable to the lives of our children. Because when they leave us and go to high school, there's an expectation, not just from our young people, but even from the parents, that the next phase of their learning, they should be successful in. And if we don't do our part, if we failed in our part to get them ready for the next phase of high school, which is high school, we have
Hmm.
failed them.
I
And in
agree.
my mind, that's the true accountability, is to these young people who come to school every day.
Who need exactly
That's
what
right.
you're offering. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It is a need. I want to know what partnerships, and I know you mentioned a couple, but what partnerships or collaborations have you formed with local organizations or businesses to enrich the educational experiences of your students?
Yep. We so we have a robust after school program. So scholars stay with us till 5 o'clock. So they're in school from 8:30 till 5 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. Part of that after school time is where we offer clubs and activities. Just kind of share with you what we offer. We have a speech and debate team. We have a spelling bee team. We have a chess team. We have a golf team. We have a bowling team. We just started a music club. We have yoga. We offer yoga as an after school club. Yeah. Um, so all of these clubs, we partner with outside organizations to offer those programs for our young people. And a robotics team, I should say, a robotics team. Yeah. Um, so, I can go through the list of all the organizations who do those things, but we're only able to do that because of the partnerships that we've had with these other outside organizations to offer them to our young people. And I've been
Yeah.
very intentional to ensure that our young people get exposed to opportunities that they may not have been exposed to in a traditional public school setting.
Well, I think I can say mission accomplished. Look,
Yeah.
I've been out of school. I feel like I want to go back to school just to experience it because, I mean, seriously, at our age, we didn't have that.
Yes, ma'am. That's
We
right.
just didn't.
Yes.
It wasn't pushed like that. I mean, we went to public schools, we did the best we could, and we turned out pretty good. And
You
I thank
did.
God for that
Yep.
because of our stewardship and what, our parents instilled in us and so on. But the mere fact that we have to understand that everybody doesn't have that and everybody doesn't turn out all right,
Yes.
depending on their backgrounds and where they come from. So I love what you're doing because it's making your scholars feel inclusive.
That's right. Everybody participates in something.
Yeah.
And one, if we find out there's a unique passion or interest in something, like they have a special skill set that they enjoy doing in their own personal life, yes, we're going to try to make a connection as much as we can. But secondly, we want to expose them, right? You may say, no, I don't want to do speech and debate, but how would you know if you never tried it?
Right.
And once you try, you may find out you really enjoy it. Right. And so that's the position that we take. We don't force, but
Yeah.
the same token, we present the opportunity and we just say, hey, give it a chance. You never know, you may like it. You know,
Options.
options, that's it. And then if you do it for a semester, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do something else next time. That's okay.
It's
But at
fun.
least you can say, I was part of the speech and debate team. I had a chance to engage in a speech and debate opportunity, right? In a
Right.
competition. Yeah.
Yeah. Adding value, a culture.
That's
you
right.
know? And like we said, options, I mean, you don't know. Options change your mind about a lot of things.
A lot of things.
You know,
That's
you
right.
don't know what you don't know. So,
Yeah.
the mere fact that they have options, I really love that. And like once again, like I do refer people, and I know one of my business partners in another endeavor, she has her daughter attending there and
Yes.
she absolutely loves it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And she moved here from Illinois, but I knew what you stood for. One,
Hmm.
I knew your background, and I served on the board with you, so I knew your integrity.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so I definitely wanted to make sure that she was steered in the right direction. So thank you, because she's very pleased. When I speak to her, she speaks very well of the school. She loves to participate and help
Yes.
out
That's
and
right.
everything. So, again, thank you, because, if I'm sending, because we need to promote one another. And so you did not fail me in promoting you having, your private school, because like I said, she's very, very satisfied. So my next question is, how do you support the social and emotional well-being of students in an urban private school setting?
Hmm. Well, I would say that it's not a one-off situation. Well, let me say this shouldn't be. Let me make this clear. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be like a one-off, or it shouldn't be a special program or a special class. What you are asking, Lavinia, should be ingrained in the culture of a school.
Mm-hmm.
When a child enters that building, automatically the social and emotional expectations of that child should be met the moment they get off that building. And
I like
it's
that.
often just simple, just saying good morning to a scholar and coming from your heart. Sometimes embracing that scholar,
Mm-hmm.
having the right staff who loves children, has high expectations, supports children, and wants to see children win at all cases. Part of our social and emotional dynamic is that we really don't have a discipline program. The
Mm-hmm.
word discipline has a negative stigma to it. Oftentimes, because of history of our young people, they think they're in trouble all the time. You call
Mm-hmm.
their name. What did I do? Right? Like they have this implied or unconscious response of always being in trouble, or lack of a better term, the criminal.
Mm-hmm.
So we remove all of that.
Okay.
You may get called on, but our response, and you may have a response of, well, what did I do? I didn't do anything wrong. Then we follow with, you didn't do anything wrong. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk this through,
That's right.
right? Let's look at the big picture. Let's be solution oriented.
All right.
Let's be supportive. And so our environment is designed to address the social emotional dynamics of our young people. I don't have a special class or a special curriculum. It's just what we do. It's ingrained in what
Yeah.
we do in our interactions with our young people. Once again, our young people feel safe holistically. And if there is an issue that we have to address, disagreements, conflict,
Right.
arguments between kids, students feeling like the teachers don't like them, whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
we all sit down and talk about it. We have conversations around the conflict, the issue, the misunderstanding, and we pour our hearts out to the young people so they can understand what they perceived or interpreted to be maybe wrong or unfair. We have that conversation so they can see that nothing's unfair. You was
Right.
not being treated or been mistreated. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
this was a misunderstanding. And then we say, do you forgive me? And then we move on. Right. And that's from scholar to scholar. That's from staff to staff. That's from scholar to staff. Like that's like a 360-degree, behavioral expectation that we have in our building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I like that because imagine what you're doing to their mental status, to know that I'm coming in here and I'm going to be safe. I'm going to be heard again, because it's so important. I keep repeating that because a lot of children feel like they aren't seen.
Hmm.
And we grew up in the era, do as I say, not as I do,
That's right.
even though we end up doing what they did.
Yep,
But
that's right.
because words a lot of the time don't teach, and I mean from a certain perspective, typically what you see is what you absorb, and what they're saying is a certain standard of excellence
That's right.
that
Yeah,
should be expected every single day, not just if they go to one class, but in every class, in every hall, with every individual, and teaching them the accountability.
that's right.
Yeah.
Accountability. And then I want to say also, we're modeling as adults, we are modeling to these young people how you handle conflict and disagreements. It's not yelling, screaming, cussing, slamming things. It's not that at all. It's having conversations. As you said earlier, it's listening, being heard, allowing to express how you feel in the moment,
Hmm.
respecting that vulnerability, and then coming to a solution or a resolution,
Correct.
and then moving on, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
We are modeling to these young people who may not have experienced that in their personal life and in their home life, on how to handle conflict in a healthy way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the fact that, like you said, just something as simple as saying good morning to the students. I don't think people understand living in an urban area, how important that is. You may
Yes.
be the first person that has ever acknowledged that child all week,
That's right.
you know? And so people just assume because the student is coming to school, everybody's in the same situation, and they're not. Especially, and I'm not to say that any other area they don't, go through things, but we're not talking about those areas. We're talking about the areas that we know about, that you're working in, that was strategic for you to come in and make a difference. So once again, I think it is very needed. And just hearing, because there were some things I didn't know that you did. I remember where you were starting to get ready to start the school. And I just remember, and you were so diligent in that, and to see it into fruition and to hold this conversation with you now is honestly an honor, because I know, once again, your work ethic and what you stand for, and how, we worked with teen girls
That's
and
right.
young women, and your compassion, not just for women, but for people, period. And you sat on the board with a lot of women, but you stood your ground with your expertise, and you shared a lot of knowledge, and I want to thank you for that. So once again, thank you. um, what strategies do you employ, and you've mentioned some, to engage parents and caregivers as partners as their children's education I mean in their
Mhm.
children's education?
Yeah. Part of our parent accountability as it relates to student academic achievement. So our
Hmm.
students do homework. So we give our scholars homework at least 4 days a week,
Okay.
and we there is an accountability tracker that students take home every night. They do their homework. Parents should be there to support them, and we have parents to initial if that scholar completed what was supposed to be done that night. So we have a monthly tracker. Parents are involved in that, and their job is to make sure their scholars do their work, do it to fidelity, and then sign off on what was completed. From a academic standpoint, that is one way we can tie parents in, so parents can see that their scholar is progressing academically, because you can see it based on the work that they're doing. You can hear it in their conversation. You should see it in their changing their behavior and the demeanor, right? That's one way. Another way is how we communicate with our families. Um, every Sunday or so, sometimes every other Sunday, I create a video, and I send this video out every week to our parents so they can understand what is going on in the school. So,
Okay.
so oftentimes school may send like a newsletter, a paper newsletter, or an electronic newsletter. But I figure, like, who's going to read that, right?
Hmm.
Who's going to read all this stuff? And so what I try to do is engage our families in a way that's entertaining.
Hmm.
Sometimes my personality can be dry, humorish, kind of borderline corny, but yet
Hmm.
it gauges some sense of humor from my parents. And so I make a video every week or so and just share with them all the highlights of the school, the things that are going on, shout out the successes of our scholars. and that's one way we communicate. It's very rare that our parents don't know anything that goes on here. Like sometimes we may over communicate with our families so they know what's going on in the school. And then the third thing is when we do our extracurricular activities, parents show up. Like we have a bowling league. Man, I'm telling you, it's almost like a family reunion. Parents show up, grandparents, stepdad, uncles, aunties, cousins. I mean, it's like this huge family, and it's peaceful. We're all there supporting and cheering our young people as they bowl. And the bowling alley management, they love it because they get a captivated audience for like 10, 11 weeks. Our scholars love it because their family's there. Our families love it because they see their scholar doing something that they enjoy doing. Our STEM fair, which we do every year, that's fully attended from parents. We go on field trips, parents come. Our community service projects, parents can come. And then we also have a over there policy where parents can come and sit in the classroom if they so do choose. And I really promote that because I want them to see firsthand, what their child is learning. I want them to see and experience the level of rigor that we expect and we deliver to our young people so they can know, man, this school is serious, when it comes to learning.
It's powerful. I was just sitting here writing and I couldn't even, I was trying to write as fast as I could because when I hear you speak about Harriet Tubman School of Excellence, what I hear is culture,
Yes,
respect, knowledge, teaching about adversity and resolution,
yes,
teaching about inclusivity, excellence, right? And I had to stop right there, but those were all the things just while I was listening to you because that's what it encompasses to me when I hear those things, when I hear you speak about all the things, and I haven't even named all of them. You know what I mean? Like there's so many more that I can add to the list. Um, and I'm really serious as someone who dropped out of high school my sophomore year. Yeah, I went back, got degrees and all of that's great, but I needed some place like the Harriet Tubman School of Excellence.
yeah,
Because maybe at that earlier stage of my life, had I been taught certain things to show that I mattered,
that's
that I was inclusive, maybe, um, and we're going to talk about, a little bit about the mental, because maybe I wouldn't have been seeking,
mm,
um, other things outside because I would have felt included in school. I would have felt like I
that's
was
right.
getting what I needed. I would have been learning the respect for myself, learning about
Mm,
culture and
that's right.
adversity,
Yes,
right? So yeah, at 51 years old, I can say that. So I look at now having 13 grandchildren and a great grand.
mm-hmm.
I know that as long as that school is there, your school, I
Yeah,
know that they're going to be attending there. Somebody's coming there, right?
so, right.
So, right. So, just knowing that that is available because I have children that live right down the street,
Yeah,
that really need to be in there. But, the parents, when you did, some of the parents need to be educated. And I'm sure you see that
yes,
but including them and seeing their children from beginning to end. And I have a big thing. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
that's it. Yeah, and
And so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
no, I apologize. I do want to say that I have some of the most supportive parents ever. I mean, I can call on my parents and they will show up 1,000%. And I think oftentimes, especially when you talk about urban schools, the assumption and maybe the misunderstanding is that particularly Black parents don't engage or care about their child's education. And I'm here to say that's not true because I have Black parents who show up when called upon,
Right.
and they show up serious, do what they can to support their child based on what we require from that child, and they participate in their child's educational experience. So, I'm fortunate to have some wonderful parents, and
Mhm.
they're very supportive, and and that's the goal is to really and let me say this too, because I think what helps in that is that interestingly, all of our scholars, all of them came to us with a history.
Mhm.
In other words, the schools that they were going to just weren't working for them. And there were a few scholars like, man, I don't know if I made the right choice, but after I saw their records. But once they got here and they understood how much we cared about them and their success, man,
Right.
they just changed just like that. And so if their old schools were able to see them now, you know,
Absolutely.
what was that song? Back then you didn't know me. Now I'm
Yeah.
hot, y'all
Now
up
I'm
on
hot.
me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is like how our young people are now, like
Yeah.
doing some wonderful things, some great
Yeah.
things. And I'm so proud of all of our scholars. And because we expect a lot out of them. You know, these are middle schoolers. You know, right now we're grades 5, 6, and 7. Next year we're at 8th grade, but we
Okay.
expect a lot out of them. And you know, it takes courage. It takes courage for them to step up to the level of expectations that we know they can achieve at.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They do.
Yeah.
They
They
do.
do.
Yeah, they do. And then when they maybe miss the mark sometimes, we just support them.
That's
We
right.
support them and build them back up to get them back where they need to be.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Which is encouraging and empowering. Um, mm, yeah. So the next question I have is looking ahead. What are your goals and aspirations for the future of your private school and its impact on the urban community?
Now, this is this is a testimony that what we've done and what we will continue to do
Okay.
has worked.
Hmm.
Um, Parents, as well as even some of my scholars, are asking for a high school. But while they ask me for a high school, well, because they don't want to leave. They're like, I don't want to leave. I want to continue in this experience until I leave to go to college, trade school, whatever they decide to do, right? Military. And parents are asking for it. Parents are crying for it. Like, Mr. Like, you gotta get a high school. You know, scholars are saying, man, I don't want to leave, but we got to get a high school. And so there is the notion, I'm still praying on it. There is thought of maybe extending to high school level grades.
Okay.
There's a thought on that. But before I do that, my bigger vision is to have Harriet Tubman School of Excellence campuses throughout the city.
I love it.
Now we are a micro school. I should have said that somewhere earlier in our conversation. We
Okay.
are a micro school. In other words, we are small on purpose. And the reason why we are a micro school, why the reason why I decided to go that route is because we are not numbers driven. Now, I'm not trying to get 300 kids in one building. We are impact driven. And I'd rather impact 100% of the kids that we serve versus getting 300 kids and only impact 10%.
I love that.
Yeah, in my humble opinion, um, I think we may do more of a disservice when we focus just on numbers versus impact.
Hmm.
Now, how I can serve more children, and this is where having multiple campuses come in at. Have multiple mini micro schools throughout the city of Indianapolis. Have one on the west side, have one on the
Yeah.
south side, have
Hmm.
one further east, have one in the north, right? And I'm from
Right.
Gary, Indiana, like you, and have one up in Gary, right?
Yes.
So we can best serve 300-400 scholars that way by having campuses throughout the city serving 50 to 60 kids per campus.
Mm, powerful. Oh, wow. That would be amazing. And again,
Yes.
the need, there is a need for every area that you spoke of because there are children who need exactly what you're offering. And honestly, not just in Indiana, but that's where we start. You know, you start where you're at, and then you grow. So, um, I greatly appreciate you coming on, but I want to make sure that I give you the opportunity because it's all about building. It's all about networking. It's all about funds. Like
Yes.
let's just be honest, it takes money to be able to do and provide these services and networks and sponsorships and things like that. And the sole purpose is to get your story told, to show what is available. Um, and show that we're doing some amazing things. But then, give the listeners or our viewers, your information or anything that you want to leave them with before we get ready to go.
Gotcha. Now I can so let me start with enrollment. We are in enrollment season, and like I said, next year we'll offer 8th grade, and that'll be our first graduating class. That we're making history. Our first 8th grade graduating class will be next year in 2025. However, if you are interested in learning more about what we offer and how we can best serve your scholar, and you're looking for a different approach to learning, and I want to say that we work really hard to offer a learning experience, not a transaction. Transactions, there's no life in a transaction, right? Once the transaction is done, boom, people go their separate ways. We want to offer an experience to where young people come here and they just get the full experience of learning and learning about themselves, not just about the content, but also about themselves and how great they are and how great they can become. That's an experience that evolves every day. That's an experience that we, even as adults, we should be having.
Absolutely.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah. And so, but trickling it down to the young people, you don't have to be 20 years old to figure out how great you are. You can learn that right now and put you on a path to greatness. Like we have one scholar who's in 5th grade, and we've been telling her that she's Madam President, and she believes wholeheartedly at 5th grade, 10 years old, that she's going to be the president of something.
That's right.
She believes that. And she carries herself with that level of dignity that she's going to be the president of something. That's what I'm talking about when we say a learning experience, right? We're talking about a young man who's so good in math, he's going to build the next Dubai because he's good at math. We talk about one young scholar who is just a genius. He's going to find a cure for cancer. And we tell him that.
Yes.
We tell him that because that's how smart he is. Yeah.
And you affirm them.
That's what I'm saying. So when I say experience, that's what I'm talking about, a learning experience. Anyway, give us a call, 317-426-1538. Give us a call to learn more about how you can get your scholar enrolled in our school for grades 5 through 8 for the next school year. Seats are limited because we are a micro school. We are small on purpose because we want to provide an impact for our young people. We do offer open houses for you to come in and tour the facility, ask questions, learn about the school. And then from there, if you think it's a great fit, we can begin to talk about how to enroll your scholar into our school for the next school year.
I love it. And I don't know if I heard that you have an email that you wanted to leave them. Did you leave that?
Yes, we do have an email. It's rather long, but so bear with me.
That's okay. Take your time.
Yeah,
Get it all out there.
Get it all out. It's enroll my scholar, just like how it spells, enroll my scholar at HTSEINDY.org. So HTSC stands for Harriet Tubman School of Excellence, and Indy for Indianapolis. So HTSCindy.org.
Awesome. Awesome. Jeremiah, I want to say thank you. It has definitely been an honor and a privilege, like I said. Thank you for me knowing that I can be able to send my own grandchildren to a place where they can have an experience with education, as well as be included to gain culture, respect, learn how to deal with adversity, and all of the things. And so I'm very grateful for what Harriet Tubman School of Excellence represents and encompasses. I want to thank you for reaching back, for remembering where you came from and the things that, you didn't have or other students didn't have, and then coming back and saying, you know what, I remember what I wish I had. Now let me give back, because that's what it's all about. So I want to thank you once again for coming on to Verbal Mirrors, Reflecting Understanding, because that's what it's all about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, again, you just heard from Mr. Jeremiah Lockett. He is the founder of Harriet Tubman School of Excellence here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Listen, I gotta say it, for those that are here in Indy, you know where that's at, providing some amazing opportunities for our children to be educated. So make sure that you support, make sure that you let your family members know that are looking for quality education and not just somewhere to put their children. So I want to thank you again. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you can always catch us on podchasers.com. You can catch us on podbean.com. You can catch us on iHeart. You can catch us on Alexa. You can catch us on pretty much every platform. So make sure that you check us out to hear this episode and so many more, because this is what we're doing, making sure that Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding, we put people on the platform like this that can show you that we're doing amazing things, that we're able to help our communities, and that we do have call to actions and not just leaving you stuck. Right. So once again, Jeremiah, thank you. And we're going to close us out with a video. So I want to thank you. Stay on. And I want to thank you again for our listeners and viewers. Have a wonderful day. As we wrap up another episode of Verbal Mirrors Reflecting Understanding, we encourage you to carry the reflection sparked here into your daily interactions. Let the echoes of diverse perspective guide your journey towards greater empathy and connection. Thank you for being a part of our dialogue. Until next time, may your mirrors of understanding continue to reflect a world filled with compassion and unity.